All right, let me test the whole mic. Sounds like it's working. All right, what do we got? What do we got? First of all, I think this team has broken me. I think this team has truly broken me. I'm a pretty positive. I'm a pretty positive guy. I feel like. I'm a pretty positive guy. I feel like I'm always cheering on the Reds. I'm telling the Twitter haters, you're not right. This team's good. They're young. Today, I think I'm broken. I think I'm broken. I think the team has literally broken me. You know, it's if it's not one thing, it's another thing. Today they finally scored some runs. They finally scored some runs. Fernando Cruz comes in. You walk the number 8 hitter, Tucker Barnhart. Tucker Barnhart, listen, he was cool with the Reds. Tucker was fine with the Reds. But he's legit one of the worst hitters in Major League Baseball. He has been for a couple of years. Throw it down the middle. I don't care if Tucker Barnhart hits one 700 yards. Throw it down the middle. You don't walk Tucker Barnhart. And then Tucker Barnhart advances on a wild pitch to second. You put the guy in scoring position because you walked Tucker Barnhart. Listen, Fernando Cruz has been amazing this year. He's been awesome. But we need everyone to be good on the same day. We just need to win a game. Then you walk the 9 hitter. And then what happens? You have Corbin Carroll up. Rookie of the Year, National League Rookie of the Year. What's Corbin Carroll do? Of course he gets a hit. Hits it hard. Smokes it at TJ Friedel. No problem. Friedel's going to throw out Tucker Barnhart. He's in the 2 percentile of sprint speeds. The 2. Guess what happened? Safe at home. Safe. It's crazy. It's crazy. This team's broken me. They've really broken me. Hunter Greene walked 5 guys. I'm a Hunter Greene stan. I stick up for that guy like crazy. But you can't come out in the 6th inning and walk 2 guys. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's crazy. This team has literally broken me. This team has absolutely broken me. I don't know what to do. 8 straight games. You lost 8 straight games. It's been over a week where I wake up. I'm like, oh, the Reds are going to win today. They're going to get off the schneid. They're going to get off the schneid. The Reds are going to do it. Nope. 8 straight games. Loss. And today, loss. It's devastating. It's devastating. Why can't we have nice things? As a Reds fan, why can't we just have nice things? I don't understand it. It's a long season. There's 162 games, right? 162 games. But when you're sitting at 16-13 a week and a half ago, and now we're 16-21 and about to go on a brutal West Coast road trip, it's bad. Bad news, Bears. Bad news, Bears. I just need to come on here and vent, I think. I don't vent. I'm usually knocking on the Twitter trolls and saying it's going to be okay. The Reds are going to be fine. It's no big deal. The Reds are going to be fine. It's been a week and a half. It's been a week and a half since we've won a baseball game. Who are we, the White Sox? It's crazy. It's crazy. The team has broken me. I don't know what else to say, but it's in our heads. We wanted to, say, hey, having Mike Ford would help us. Hey, having anybody but Nick Martini and Bubba Thompson would help us. That's what we wanted to say, right? We knew deep down that probably wasn't going to make the difference. It probably wasn't. But we're like, just try. Come on, front office, just try and show us. Well, hey, they've scored 4 runs today. A little bit better. And, of course, we give up 5. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. All right, let me put this out on the old Twitter app, see if anyone else will join. If you guys that are in here have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll read some of the Twitter questions I got on here otherwise. But man, I'm just frustrated. Just an absolute crazy time to be a Reds fan. I don't know. All right, let me tweet this out here, link. I'm going to say, what is the number one thing wrong with the Reds right now? This will get some good commentary going. It's the offense. It's the offense. The offense it's terrible. Watching these games in Mountain Time Zone, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. You woke up at 11 a.m. thinking, all right, we're gonna get the day started with the Reds dub. Right away, Hunter Greene gives up a bomb. We're like, all right, that's not great with the way this offense is going. But we tie it up. We get a candy bomb. We hold the lead for 30 seconds. For some reason, we bring in Nick Martinez in a game when we need strikeouts, but whatever. Nick Martinez has been a good out of the bullpen. Gives it up. We're down 4-1, and it's deflating. I'm like, man. Oh, it's not Mountain Time Zone. What is GMT? I don't even know what GMT time zone is. 5 a.m.? Where do you live? That's crazy. Andrew, I don't think the season's over, but this is terrible. This is terrible. I had quite the rant to start off the 6 minutes, so if you weren't in here, you maybe go back and watch after this ends. But it's crazy, man. I'm like the most positive dude, most optimistic guy. I'm deflated. We've been waking up for a week and a half just expecting that the Reds are going to win. Then they just lose. They just lose in different ways. For a week, the offense didn't get a hit. Today we score 4 runs. We still can't win. Fernando Cruz, our best reliever, gives up the run to freaking Tucker Barnhart. Tucker Barnhart walks, and Tucker Barnhart scores from second. How does he score from second on that? That had me so mad. It's crazy. It takes one hot streak and we're back, right? Like, I really do think that no good team should lose eight games in a row. That's crazy. But all it takes is to go on a 5-game winning streak and get you back to 500, and then you're fine. I truly think Friedel, you've already seen in a couple of days, he's helped the team. We just got to survive. Like, I am worried about this West Coast road trip. The road trip, this road trip's brutal. And we've lost 8 games going into the road trip. If you told me, like, if we just went 4-4, I'd be like, just survive the road trip. Now we can't survive the road trip. We have to. If they lose another, I don't know. This is crazy. I've never seen a streak like this. I don't know the last streak that has demoralized me like this from a Reds team, because the teams who used to suck, they sucked. They sucked. So you were like, no big deal. They're terrible. We know what we're watching every day. It'd be like 5 innings, or like the Reds are down 27-4 again. No big deal. I'll go on with my day. Now we wake up. We're like, this year's the year. The Reds are going to be good. What happens? Noelvi Marte took steroids is what happened. Matt McClain, hurt. TJ Friedel, hurt. Frankie Montas gets hit in the arm. Jake Fraley was sick for like 17 weeks. It's crazy. Now we have somewhat of guys back. And what happens? We still lose. It's crazy. All right, let's talk David Bell. I'm over the David Bell experiment. This will be a good discussion, Tanner, because I'm one that I don't think baseball managers have that much of an effect on the game. And people might say, Greg, you're an idiot for that. Like, they might say you're an idiot for that. That's fine. But I truly don't think on a day-to-day basis managers have that much effect on a game. You can point to You can point to bullpen decisions. You can point to, the lineup. But it's tough. Like, people love to point to David Bell's overall record. But it's so not fair. Like, the rosters that David Bell had his first, 3 years as a manager were terrible. So it's not fair to point to the record. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. And again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I think David Bell's fine. But again, like during this 8-game streak, again, David Bell loves to platoon guys. And I think it's right. Like Will Benson, everybody was last year. You remember when everyone last year was begging for Will Benson to play more. Will Benson is so good. He needs to play versus lefties. Will Benson is like 2 for 90 against left-handed pitchers. And we're forced to face him against left-handed pitchers every day because everyone's hurt. Who else are we going to play? There's no depth anymore. We thought we had so much depth preseason. So it's like David Bell succeeds when he has guys that he can place in positions for them to do well. Again, platooning. But guys aren't able to platoon really right now. Like Will Benson is facing lefties. He's terrible against lefties. Stuart Fairchild is facing righties. Santiago Espinal is facing righties. Those guys are never going to hit right-handed pitching. So it's like that's where I struggle with, like, how can I blame David Bell when he's having to put guys out there in positions where they're not going to succeed? Like, what's the alternative? To a degree, like, okay, Candy hasn't been great. Some of the free agent signings haven't been great, but like Nick Krall too, like you don't plan on that many guys getting hurt or getting suspended. So it's tough. I don't know. I know we all want somebody to blame, right? But I truly think it just comes down to players have to play better. Like Will Benson has to be better. He cannot strike out 50% of the time. I mean, last night was a perfect example. All he has to do is put the ball in play. He's fast enough. He's probably not going to hit into a double play. And he just strikes out. India, yeah, that's a good point, Andrew. India has to be better. Spencer Steer, over the last 2-3 weeks, he has to be better. He had a huge hit today. Great. But, like, everybody's slumping at the same time right now. And you can't overcome that. You can't overcome everybody slumping at the same time. Like, no team in baseball is going to be able to overcome that. The Reds had, I think over the 7-game losing streak they had before today, they had a 3.11 ERA. 3.11 ERA. They lost 7 straight games. That's almost impossible. Starting pitchers, 3.11 ERA. But that's how bad the offense has been. It's crazy. It's kind of demoralizing. It's demoralizing because this is the team everyone was like, this is it. But again, I say that, but then I look at them like, well, we're missing a lot of guys still. We are missing CS on the IL, and it has been playing bad. Was it due to injury? Hopefully it was due to the injury because I hope that's not what CS is long-term. Matt McClain, like he was one of our best players last year. Hurt till August, maybe. Noelvi Marte, he was going to be a huge part of this team. Not anymore. We'll see in July, late June. It's just crazy. Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes I think many of us forget most of our guys are sophomores. It's so true. It's so true. Like I think the thing about that is though, like I think we all thought this team's going to go through slumps. It's a young team. They're going to go through slumps. But for everybody to be in a slump at the same time, it's tough. It's tough when everybody is going through it at the same time. Because you just can't overcome that. You just can't overcome that, It's just wild. It's just wild. I'm like to the point like I'm excited for the next Reds game because I'm just like I need to see a win. I can't just keep watching these games. And by the 3rd inning, I'm like, here we go again. I'm telling you that the Spencer Steer hit in the eighth inning. Was it eighth inning or seventh inning? Whatever it was. That gave me life. I was like, I haven't seen a big hit from this Reds team in over a week. That gave me life. And then right away, gone. Both times they tied it up today. Lead was gone in 14 seconds. 14 seconds. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm telling you, this team has killed me. They've killed me. Mr. Optimist over here, for the most part. It's tough. It's tough. But go get them tomorrow, I guess. Let's see that. Let's just pull up the old schedule here. Let's just pull up the old schedule. See the old West Coast trip. I'm scared to look at this, honestly. I don't even want to look at it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's see who we got. Got the Giants. Giants for 3 starting tomorrow, which you would think. I mean, the Giants aren't that good of a team. The Giants just aren't that good of a team, I don't think. But we go out west, and we're like the worst team every year. And we're not that good of a team. We're 0-8. So 0-8 in the last 8 games. So I don't know what to think. You got the Giants and D-backs. You have to find a way to split that. You have to find a way to go 3-3 in those 6. Because then you go to the Dodgers. You play 4 against the Dodgers in LA. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. Going to LA right now, I mean, I have no – I don't even want to think about playing the Dodgers with how the Reds are playing right now. So we got Giants, D-backs, Dodgers, Padres, Dodgers, and then the Cardinals, who are currently last in the NL Central. Giants, D-backs, Dodgers, Padres, Dodgers. That's tough. That's tough. That's pretty tough. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at. It's tough to say, like, I hope they go 3-3 in the next 6, because what happens if they go 3-3? They're still 19-24. Am I happy with 19-24? No. I don't know. At this point, I don't even care if they lose. I just can't bear that they play ugly baseball. So many dumb plays tonight. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, today at least there was some life today, I will say. But then you had Elly trying to steal third when he absolutely was just – that was idiotic. I love Elly, and I stick up for him 99% of the time. But there was just no reason to steal third. There's no reason to steal third there. Fairchild, I don't know. I don't even know if I can blame that on him. They deked him into sliding. Like, when you're trying to steal a base, you go in hard. Like, you're not supposed to watch the ball. So that's tough. Here's one thing that irked me that I'll talk about with the base running. So you have early in the game, they're down 1-0. Steer and Fraley up to the plate. And Elly tried to steal 3 straight pitches. There was not 2 strikes on either batter on 2 of the 3 pitches. Swing, swing, swing. Like, for a team that's struggling offensively, wouldn't you want to let the guy that's the fastest guy in Major League Baseball get to second base so then you can have a chance to drive him in instead of just swinging? And they didn't do damage with any of the pitches. Maybe they thought they could, and that's why they swung. They sure didn't. Out. Elly stays at first. I don't know. How do we not throw Tucker out at the plate? I talked about this to start, Tanner. I mean, that made me mad. That triggered me. Tucker Barnhart is in the second percentile in Major League Baseball, the slowest guys in the major leagues. He's also one of the worst hitters. See, the fact that Tucker Barnhart was on base made me mad. The fact that he scored was ridiculous. TJ Friedl threw that ball to the moon. You're taught to skip it across the mound. But our outfielders don't have good arms. I think I put a tweet out last night or the night before. Like, I don't remember the last time the Reds have thrown somebody out at home plate. I mean, you just run on them like crazy. But Friedl, it's hard. He's a great center fielder. He just doesn't have an arm. But I don't know. That was bad. That triggered me when I saw Tucker Barnhart. I saw him rounding third and Friedl already threw the ball, I was like, he's going to be out by a mile. Nope. That ball took an hour and a half to get home. Crazy. Just crazy. Andrew says, so if we lose 2 or 3 this weekend, is the season officially over? I mean, listen, I'm not going to say the season's over. I'm not going to say the season's over in May. I think the Reds could lose 10 more in a row, and I probably won't say the season's over. That would maybe be crazy by me, but I'm not going to say the season's over in May. I just can't do it. There's a lot of baseball left to be played. As easy as you lose 8 in a row, you can go on a streak and win 8 in a row. We saw last year they won 12 in a row. Now, are they going to win 12 in a row again? Probably not. Probably not. But it could happen. Baseball's a crazy sport. It's a game of momentum. Like you go on streaks. Again, you should never go on a streak where you lose 8 in a row. But you could just as easily get on a streak and win 8 in a row. I mean, the Twins started out terribly, and then they won 12 in a row or something crazy like that this year. So I'm never going to say the season's over in May. It's a long season, and especially with the way the pitching's been. They keep you in games. Here's what I'm worried about. Speaking about the pitching. I'm worried that the offense is going to come back to life and the pitching is going to go to hell. That's the way things have been for this team so far this year. When one thing works, the other thing does not work. So, I don't know. I'm worried about that. I am worried about that. Tanner says, I just hope we don't try to rush prospects up to major leagues thinking it will help us. Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that, Tanner. And the reason I say that is there's not many prospects in the high minor leagues right now for the Reds. So, like last year when we had Elly, Matt McClain, CES all down in AAA, it's kind of the opposite this year. So the big crop of prospects for the Reds right now are all kind of down in the Dayton area. Rhett Lauder just got promoted to AA, so that's obviously a big one. You have Blake Dunn in AAA, but he's not like a top prospect. I think Blake Dunn, he might be like a bench guy on the major league team one year. I don't really know if he'll ever be a starter. You have Reese Hines in AAA. He's striking out at a crazy rate, like 45% in AAA. So who knows what that would turn into in the majors. So I don't think he's ready. And then you go down to AA. I mean, the Lookouts, they have almost nobody. They have almost nobody position player wise that I think has a legit chance to be on the major league team in the next 2 years. It's not the Lookouts roster is bleak. It's like former top 30 guys that are no longer top 30 guys because of how bad they played. Position player wise. Now they have Lauder, they have Julian Aguilar. That have a chance. Zach Maxwell out of the bullpen. He hasn't allowed a run this year, but they don't have much. So I don't think anybody from the Lookouts is going to get rushed up. And then Dayton is where the prospects are. Dayton is where you have Jay Allen II, who's I think he's 25th on MLB Pipeline. But this is the first year he's been healthy in a while, and he's crushing the ball. He's almost hitting 400 down in Dayton. You have Hector Rodriguez that's raking down there in single A, but he was pretty much a low A all last year. So I don't think they're going to rush him up anytime soon. Sal Stewart, he's been okay for the Dragons this year, been pretty solid, but nothing crazy that you're going to instantly call him up even to AA. I'm sure he'll get there eventually this year. Cam Collier's been raking. I think at some point, if he keeps hitting like this, you'll see him at AA. But again, they're in single A. They're not going to come up to the majors at this point. I mean, so I don't think you have to worry about that. It's just so different than last year when we had all those guys at the AAA level. This year they're all so young and all with the Dragons, so I don't think you have to worry about them rushing back, rushing up, which I think is part of the problem when they say, like, if Edwin Arroyo was healthy, I think you would have seen him when Santiago Espinal was struggling, but he's out for the year. And he was legit the only guy that was prospect-wise to come up. So, I don't know. You have Levon Soto in AAA that they signed. He's been raking. He could come up for Espinal, I guess, but I don't know. All right, here's one. If you look, former player of any sport, look in the dugout, there's no fun in it, and stars with no big league manager, but it says, all right, here's what I have to say about that. So, no fun in the dugout. I get it. Like, you want to have energy. You want to have fun. I saw fun. Like when Elly scored today to tie the game, like guys were legit having fun. Elly was having fun. Friedel was having fun. But it's easy to say nobody's having fun when you lose. Like if you've played a sport, the energy is bad when you lose when you're losing. It's easy to say like, hey guys, cheer up and have a good time. But like when you're playing a sport and you're losing, it's pretty hard to be like a rah rah, let's do let's do some cheers, let's have a good time. It's I think that's kind of a cliche. And I know where people are going with it. I know they want to see guys of like be a team, but I think they're trying to do that. But when you're losing and you get down, it's very hard. It's very hard to just be positive. It's just very hard to be positive. And I don't know how you blame Bell for that. Like again, he what the other thing with I struggle with about David Bell is people love to come out and say David Bell shows no urgency. He shows no this. He talks to the media like he doesn't care. But listen, David Bell is not going to come out. He's being a good manager by protecting his guys. He's not going to come out. This isn't 1970 when you're Bob Knight and you come out and just berate your guys to the media. Like players do not want to play for a manager like that these days. So he's just going out there and saying, we're going to be fine. He's showing a calm presence that, like, I'm not worried. You shouldn't be worried. And I know fans don't like that. I know fans hate that our manager shows no urgency. He doesn't even care. That's not real. I think David Bell cares. I think David Bell wants to win. He's just not going to come out to the media and freak out and be like, the season's over. We're done. We're screwed. Our players suck. See you next year. Like, that's just not what he's going to do. So instead, he's going to just BS some answers and say, guys, we need to play better. I'll take the blame, whatever it may be. And it's fine. That's to me, that's being a good manager, kind of protecting your guys. Sure, I get that people want to see the manager fired up and show some, but like, you don't know what he's like behind doors. You don't know the things he's trying to do to get the guys to play together behind doors. So to sit there and say like David Bell's the reason everything sucks, and I have a hard time with that because we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. We really don't. So I don't know. Again, I get it. It is frustrating when you have Bally Sports on after the game and David Bell's up there kind of mumbling like he's Bill Belichick and he's like, everything's fine. It's going to be okay. But you have to take it with a grain of salt. You know, they're just managers. They don't want to be up there. So they're just going to BS their way through the answers and just try to not, throw their guys under the bus. I just think that's what today's manager is. It's just different than the Bobby Knight days when you just berate guys and where are you going to go type of deal. We're all getting Nick crawled right now. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I get the frustrations though. I really do. I understand where people come from. Because I get frustrated watching him do pressers sometimes, but I just have to remind myself, like, that's not really what he's thinking. He just is saying that in front of the media because you're not going to go up and call your guys out, I think. So anyway, it's hard to have fun when you lose 11-13. Tanner says, yeah, I mean, I agree. I play basketball on Monday and Thursday nights. Stupid comparison, but this is just a comparison that popped in my head. And you get the win and you stay on. If you lose, you get booted and you don't play till the next game. If I go and I lose and then I come back and I lose again and I have to sit out 2 times in 4 games, I'm pretty mad. Like, I'm pretty mad. As much as I want to tell myself, like, yeah, Greg, show some good body language after your teammate missed 17 shots in a row, I'm pretty mad. I'm sitting over there on the bench like, what the hell? What the hell is happening? I want to be out there playing, but instead we're sucking. It's just hard. Maybe that's a terrible analogy, but that's just what came to my head. It's hard to be positive. You can go in there and be like, I'm going to be positive today. And then you just go out there and it sucks. All right. Yeah, I get it, Razor man. I know some people just don't like David Bell, and I'm never going to change your opinion on it. That's fine. I'm not like a David Bell. I don't think he's an amazing manager. I just don't think managers have that big of a not presence. I don't think they determine outcomes of games a lot in baseball. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that. I just think players have to be better. And again, I think we have a lot of players right now. When I sit back and like relax and I'm not heated from watching the game, I think we have a lot of players playing out of position and not able to play where they're able to succeed. Like Will Benson against lefties, Stuart Fairchild against righties, Santiago Espinal against righties. That's not putting those guys in position to succeed. They're just not going to hit those guys. So then when you're watching the game, you get so frustrated because we get no hits and we see guys come up like that in big situations. And then it's easier after the fact to think about like, okay, well, it's making a little bit more sense. We don't have half the guys out there. Now today we did. That wasn't the excuse today, but Will Benson still had to bat against the lefty late. They probably should have pinch hit Stu for him. I don't know why you would have him. I don't know why you'd have Will Benson face a lefty anymore at all late in the game when you have a righty on the bench. I mean, Will Benson said all offseason he wants to face lefties. Well, he's gotten to face lefties for the first month of the season, and it hasn't done him any good. He's been terrible against lefties. And I'm not trying to crush Will Benson. It's just he hasn't hit lefties. So you got to stop running him out there in lefties in big situations. So, yeah, you're right, Razor. I think that's a good point. You're old school 65, so your take on the game's different than mine. You're completely right. I mean, I get the game used to be, every guy would throw 7 innings, and you just kept every guy in there to face lefties and righties. I mean, even when I was growing up as a kid, like watching Adam Dunn, the game was completely different then. Like Adam Dunn would be looked at in today's game. Adam Dunn would be looked at as an absolute star with his OPS. It didn't matter that he struck out all the time. Adam Dunn's OPS was ridiculous every year. He hit tons of home runs. The slugging was unbelievable. He walked a lot. But it's just so different back then. It's just, and guys would pitch 7 innings. Like Adam Dunn would face lefties, righties. It didn't matter. Today, like you just don't, like guys just, I don't know. Like you look at Stuart Fairchild, and I know guys are hard on Stuart Fairchild, but he hits lefties decently well. I'd rather take him against a lefty 20 times before I see Will Benson take a lefty. So I don't know. Andrew, do you think Bell should have pulled Greene after the first walk in the 6th? I don't know. It's a tough decision. His pitch count wasn't that high. I mean, he was only like 86 pitches, I think, when he got pulled. So I could see I wouldn't have hated it for him to do it, but I don't hate him for giving him the chance. But his command was bad today. I mean, you can't walk 5 guys. You just can't walk 5 guys in 5 innings. That's not going to lead to success. He somehow almost got out of there with one run. I think what more frustrated me with that whole thing there, Andrew, is I don't understand why they brought Martinez in that situation. I'm all for Nick Martinez out of the bullpen. I think he's elite out of the bullpen. But he doesn't have strikeout stuff. With first and second no outs, you need to bring somebody in that's going to get a strikeout or 2 so the people don't advance. Like, in my mind, you're instantly going to give up a run when Nick Martinez came in no outs. I would have brought in like Cruz there to get a strikeout or 2, and then hopefully you bring in Nick Martinez in the 7th to pitch a couple innings. But it's easy to say that in hindsight, and it's also the Reds have lost 8 straight games, so we're just dissecting every little move. So is Benson doomed? I don't think so. I mean, last year shows a perfect example of Will Benson played with confidence. I mean, he went down there in Louisville and started raking, and he came up and just started raking. So this might be crazy, but I think Will Benson facing so many lefties has honestly affected him a little bit against righties because he's lost confidence. So I think if you just get Benson back into a normal role where he's just a platoon guy and he can just rake right-handed pitching, like I think we'll take that all day long. I really do think we'll take that, all day long. He doesn't need to face lefties. Like he just doesn't. And we've seen it. It hasn't worked. So I mean, the K rate's crazy. Striking out at basically a 50% clip is pretty wild. From a guy who took so many good at bats and would walk and work the count, I'm a little concerned with that part of it, but I do wonder if facing so many lefties has killed his confidence a little bit. So I don't know. But I don't want to say he's doomed to 1 month in the season. It just takes a guy to get hot. I mean, you look at Candy. I mean, everyone was crushing Candy, and over the last week, he's hit well. I saw a stat today that said he had the third highest WRC plus on the team since April 10th, which I would have never guessed. But I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, Razor, I was talking about that a little bit earlier. I'm worried about that. I'm worried that the bats are going to come and get hot, and all of a sudden we're not going to be able to pitch. Because for the last week, the pitching's been good, and we haven't been able to hit. And it lost all 8 games. So what happens when that flips? I don't know. I'm worried about that. Yeah, pitch selection. That's why I'm a little – that's why I'm a little concerned about Benson is pitch selection, like he had such a good eye last year and would take walks all the time. And this year he just seems to be – he just doesn't seem to be seeing the ball. I know early in the year he was taking a lot of good pitches, and David Bell said, we want you to be more aggressive and not take good pitches. But now I think he's chasing, and he's just missing a lot. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I honestly might do a breakdown. I did a breakdown on the YouTube channel the other day. If you haven't watched it, go check it out and leave a like, please. On CES, which CES now is hurt, so maybe that's the reason why he was struggling. But I took like 10 or 11 of CS's at bats and just showed of like what he's sort of struggling with, and CS chases a lot. He chases way too many pitches outside the strike zone on pitcher counts. I think I want to do that with Will Benson. I think I want to find some of Will Benson's at bat lately and kind of go through and see why he's struggling. Because when you're watching the game, it's tough. It's tough to like pay attention of what guys are swinging at and where you're just kind of watching, especially when you're doing other things. But when you go back and watch, it's kind of alarming sometimes. You're right. That pitch in the 9th inning that Will Benson missed, I mean, that was right. That was a hanging sweeper. That thing was right there. That's a pitch that usually hits into the river. So I don't know. It's tough. Again, the offense scored 4 runs today. I mean, it was better. They had a lot of base runners. They had 9 hits, I think. It's just the one time your pitching gives up some runs. Of course, you score 4 runs. Maybe. I mean, do you think the league has figured out Benson out after last season is the question. I mean, you're always making adjustments, right? They always say the sophomore slump, and that's what this would be for Will Benson. So I think probably they found some weaknesses. I think they figured out some of his weaknesses, and they're attacking that. But that's when Will Benson has to find out that and adjust, and it takes time to adjust. You've seen it with Elly. I'm not saying Will Benson has Elly's talent, but I like to think he still has a lot of talent. Again, not to keep harping on this, but I truly do think a lot of it is to do with him facing so many lefties. Because when you're an athlete, like a lot of people do things based on their confidence. And when you get out 27 times in a row against lefties, even when you're up there facing a righty, you're probably still not very confident in your swing because you've gotten out 27 straight times. So again, maybe that's a crazy take, but I still believe that him facing so many lefties and not doing well against him hurts him against righties. Maybe that's not true, but that's what I'm kind of accrediting some of it to. I don't know, maybe a crazy take. But all right, I got about 5 more minutes on here. If you guys got any last burning questions. Appreciate you guys being in here. It's been fun for me to rant, get it off my chest. Talk about the Red Legs, man. I just can't believe this streak. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Elly's much better. Elly's much better left-handed than right, but I think he's made big progress right-handed. I mean, the at bat that he had an RBI on today right-handed was awesome. He's made big strides. He's still not as good right-handed as he is left-handed. You're right. I think he's elite left-handed. Right-handed, he's kind of just average right now, but he's made big strides. So I think keep going with it. I don't want to see Elly all of a sudden having to face lefty on lefty. You know, he's never done that in his life. So I don't think that's the move. I know people are like, well, just hit lefty. It's like, okay, well, what happens when he faces a lefty? Like, he's never faced a lefty in his life. So I don't know that all of a sudden he's just going to start raking left-handers batting lefty in the major leagues. That's a hard adjustment to make, but he has made big progress right-handed. So I'm excited to see that. I think the one thing I'd love to see is his power go up right-handed a little bit. I know when you're watching Elly from the left side of the plate, you feel like he could hit a home run at any second. When he's right-handed, I don't really feel like Elly's ever going to hit a home run up there. But I would love the Reds to sign Elly to an extension. I honestly almost think that it's past. Like the Braves got Acuna and Ozzy when they were so young and like before they showed stardom. Like, and the problem is, what's the Scott Boras is Elly's agent. Like, I don't think Scott Boras is going to sign Elly to a team-friendly deal. That's the issue. I'm sure the Reds are trying or have tried, but you're going to have to give him like $500 million or something stupid. So it's tough. I know people think that's easy, or some people say just re-sign him, but like with Scott Boras as his agent, good luck. Good luck. Yeah, he's still learning the balance of being aggressive and sophisticated. You're right. Like that stolen base, that was a stupid decision. It was stupid to try to steal third in that situation. It really was. But all Elly knows in his mind is like, I'm gonna go steal the base. Like, I'm not gonna get thrown out. He's so confident in himself that he thinks I'm gonna go steal the base and I'm gonna be safe. But there was no reason to steal third there. You're down two, and there's no reason to steal there. But he's 22 years old. He's 20, and I know people get tired of hearing that, but he's 22 years old. So he's gonna learn. I know people say David Bell doesn't tell him anything that's wrong or anything. I don't believe that. Like, I'm pretty sure they talk to him after the game and say, hey man, we love you being aggressive, but like, that's not the place to do it. I trade Greene before Elly right now, but Greene has a bigger con. Yeah, Greene got extended, but I mean, Hunter Greene got a pretty friendly deal. I mean, let's see what exactly. It's like $60 million or something. 6 year, $53 million. Like, I know people make a big deal about that he got like this big extension. If Hunter Greene becomes like a 2 or 3, like anything, like it's pretty good. His ERA is in the low 3s right now. I know people give him a hard time, but like he's been pretty good. So that's a pretty cheap deal. I know maybe it's not for the Reds, but in essence, like if he turns out to be what he could be, like it's such a team-friendly deal. Mr. Juan, what's up? Welcome to the chat. I just talked about this a little bit. Was Will Benson a fluke? I don't want to call it a fluke. You go through sophomore slumps. I've said it a million times, so sorry for repeating myself to the rest of the guys in the chat, but I truly think him facing so many lefties this year has affected him hitting right-handed pitching because it just crushes his confidence. We saw last year he's clearly a guy that plays with confidence, so when it's going bad, it's going bad, and when he's going good, he's very confident and can do everything. Obviously, the league's figured out some of his weaknesses, but I don't want to call it a fluke. I think once he gets back to being a platoon guy and they stop hitting him against lefties, now the Friedel's up, I think he'll be better. I think Water's going to find its level again. I mean, there's no way he keeps striking out a 50% rate. That's wild. But Anyways, all right. Well, I have to head. I have something at 6 o'clock, so I got to roll. But appreciate everybody hopping in the chat. Appreciate you guys listening. I need to vent. Appreciate all the questions and everything. Go Reds! I'm going to say it right now. The Reds are going to win in San Francisco tomorrow. 10:15. We're going to stay up till 1 a.m. Eastern time, and we're going to win a baseball game. Because if I stay up till 1 a.m. Eastern time and the Reds lose another game, I don't know. I said this team has already broken me. But I can't give up. So I'm going to believe that they're going to win tomorrow. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I got all day, probably get home from work, go to the gym, maybe have a couple beers. Who knows? I'll have all day till 10:15. And then what we'll do, we're going to watch our Reds win. I love that. Razor says Elly puts one in the water. McCovey Cove, they'll be chasing that ball out there in the canoes. I love it. That's the great way to end the stream. Elly's going to put one in McCovey Cove. Guys will be chasing the balls out there in the water. He might hit a guy on a canoe. And I hope not, because if Elly hits a ball in the canoe, that ball is going to be hit like 120. So we'll see. I need a Pacers win tomorrow. That's a great point, Tanner. I'm actually a Pacers fan, and I forgot they played tomorrow night. I kind of was thinking they had 2 days off and they were Saturday. We need a Pacers win tomorrow. I know this is a red stream, but they have to win. They have to win both games at home to have a chance in the series. If they lose tomorrow, series is toast. If they lose the game 4, series is toast. We need a Pacers win, and the officiating in that series has been ridiculous. But anyway, I got to go. Appreciate you guys all in the chat. I'll try to do this more often, especially when the team has broken me like this. I need to vent to at least somebody out there in the world. So appreciate you guys joining. Have a good night. Go Reds. Elly's hitting the ball in McCovey Cove tomorrow. We'll see you next time.